FUD Nation, Bitcoin is back. Bitcoin is showing signs of life. But I know one thing's for sure. After such a long and extended bear market, with quite a few rallies back, all the way up to the 10K mark, I know for sure that the Bitcoin community is not going to get ahead of itself. It's not just going to go around saying, the bull market's back, we're saved, everyone hop into the rocket ship, we're headed to the moon. No, we know how to play it cool. That's right, Bitcoin has experienced some dramatic growth here, having day-over-day candles that really do resemble an incredible breakout. It broke a ton of trends, it triggered a lot of momentum signals, showing that a bull run is underway. And for those of you saying that we don't really do any TA on this channel, that's right, baby. We squiggle all over these charts. Don't you tell me we don't do TA here. We do. It's just pretty boring to talk about, so we don't talk about it. But you should know that this dramatic rise was actually pretty amazing. It broke a lot of trends. It shows that the bull run is potentially even stronger than we had originally thought, and that the prediction that we might go to 9.5K or just under 10K has actually been expanded. And now we're looking, based on a few models, at hitting the 13K mark potentially with Bitcoin in the very near future. Now, I'm not going to say that's sustainable growth. I'm not going to say that this is the beginning of the next multi-year bull run. It's very hard to say these types of things, especially with the topsy-turvy market that we've seen. We did predict that we'd make it up to the 8.5K mark, even up to the 9.5K mark, which we haven't quite hit yet. We didn't think we'd do it so quickly, but this has been amazing volume, a very strong rally. And now, as you can see, we had a little buy box here, the green, after it hit 85. We thought it was going to correct down to the 81 mark, and now we've started longing it again. So at this point, I am longing, and I do believe it's going to go up from here. I do think we're going to see a lot of bullishness from here on the way up. It's hard to say exactly how long these trends will last, but again, we've extended our internal marker for where we think this bull run's going to at least hit to the 13K mark. So we're very excited, and as we pierce that 11.2, 11.8 resistance, things will get really, really exciting, and it might actually be time at that point to say we are in the next quote-unquote bull run. This sentiment was echoed by Changpeng Zhao of Binance. CZ definitely is not that guilty of spreading a lot of sort of bull fever, and the fact that he tweeted, "Are you on the bus?" I thought was pretty bullish for someone like CZ. It sort of gave off the impression that the crypto community does believe this bearish trend is coming to a close, but he wasn't even the only one. We have people saying, if you wasn't tweeting in the bear market, don't tweet about Bitcoin now. If you gave up on yourself, even when me and others encouraged you to stay in the market, to learn strategies, you can only be mad at yourself. Now you're behind and watching from the sidelines. I honestly disagree with almost everything in here, and I think this guy is a horrible Twitter personality, so I'm just gonna black out his name anyway. But as you can see, people are getting seriously bullish. Bitcoin futures market BitMex recorded a record 1 million Bitcoin traded on their futures market in a 24-hour period. That's right, if you're doing the math, that's $8 billion in volume in just 24 hours. That is some monstrous stuff here, and that is, to me, a very strong sign. But again, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. As we know, whenever CNBC calls for a bull run, there's probably a big problem. But regardless, we can see here that across the board, we're seeing signs of a bull run being called out from leaders within the community, Twitter personalities. We're seeing crazy volume out of all exchanges across the board. We're seeing trends being broken. We're seeing a lot of bullish signs here. So is this BTC to the moon? Well, that's yet to be seen, but what we do know is we've experienced some seriously strong growth. It's supported by really strong volume. There's a lot of sort of fundamental signs that people are looking forward to, but again, I'm gonna have to come in here with a little bit of a dose of reality, as I think a lot of this is built upon the idea that we're gonna get a Bitcoin ETF soon, and that ETF is gonna be Superman stopping the falling train from going off the cliff and lifting us back up to the sky, to safety, putting us back on track to a moonshot. Now, about that ETF. Now, if you've been on Reddit within the last month or so, you've probably noticed that ETF news is literally everywhere. And there seems to be a perception that ETFs are coming imminently, and that if you don't buy your Bitcoin now, you're gonna miss this gigantic moonshot created by ETF primary brokers going and buying up all the Bitcoin, and that pretty much Bitcoin's price is gonna double overnight, and that you're just gonna miss out. I hate to throw a wet blanket on this raging ETF fire, but it doesn't look like the ETF is really going to be coming all that soon. Now, bear in mind before I go through this news, there are multiple ETFs on the table here. So the CBOE has a different ETF that is actually called the VanEck ETF. This is the Direxion ETF. There are multiple applications that were submitted, and this one just got delayed. In an official statement from the SEC, they stated the commission finds it appropriate to designate a longer period in which to issue an order approving or disapproving the proposed rule change so that it has sufficient time to consider the proposed rule change. Accordingly, the commission, pursuant to section 19b2 of Act 10, designates September 21, 2018 as the date by which the commission shall either approve or disapprove the proposed rule change. Don't get too ahead of yourselves. This is just one ETF proposal, and that date, September 10th, is not a date that is ingrained in stone. Turning to an always reliable news source, Twitter, and from an always reliable class of profession, lawyers. We trust Twitter and lawyers, right? Well, this Twitter lawyer, Jake Chervinsky, has laid out the actual process by which the SEC can approve, disapprove, or extend the period of observation or consideration for an ETF. And let's go through that now, because I think it'll help put things in perspective as to what the timeline for an ETF for Bitcoin might actually be. The too long didn't read is the SEC can and probably will delay its decision on the VanEck SolidX, that's the CBOE application, commodity-backed Bitcoin ETF until February 21, 2019. How did he get to that date? Some background. Unlike other types of funds, like mutual funds, closed-end funds, the federal securities law did not originally provide for ETFs. As a result, ETFs have to obtain an individualized exemptive order from the SEC before going to market. The timing of the ETF process allows for a standard formula. The ETF files a proposed rule change, because that's what it is. It's a rule change to allow any ETF. The SEC posts notice of the filing in the Federal Register and solicits comments, and then the SEC has 45 days. From the original filing of June 26th, which was the SolidX filing, that's where a lot of people got this August 10th date, 45 days later. The SEC doesn't have to decide within 45 days. It can extend the deadline up to 3 times. 45 more days if a longer period is appropriate. Let's be real here. Bitcoin is going to require a longer period. A second extension of 90 more days for the ETF to address grounds for disapproval. Guys, do you think there's going to be grounds for disapproval? Think about it. And then 60 more days if, again, a longer period is appropriate. That's some seriously generic wording here, which will allow the SEC another 195 days on top of the 45 days already. So if you're doing your math right, that means the real deadline for the SEC to approve or deny any ETF is actually 240 days after it files the notice in the Federal Register. Yet, because of how the law works, the SEC can't just set a 240-day delay from the jump. It has to do the extensions one period at a time. Today, the SEC, and this was on July 24th, today the SEC extended its deadline to approve or deny the Direxion futures-backed Bitcoin ETF by 60 days, the new deadline being September 21. Coindesk reported, notably, none of the ETFs being postponed are from the VanEck and SolidX proposals. But as Jake Chervinsky explains, this isn't notable at all because the deadline to approve or deny the Direxion ETF was July 23rd, the date they explained they were doing it. The SEC waits until the deadline before issuing another extension. They don't issue these ahead of time. They wait until the time period has elapsed and decide or plan to decide or issue a statement upon that date. They don't do this all at once. The SEC wasn't making a decision about all the pending ETFs today. It was just handling the next step in the process for the Direxion ETF. It has absolutely no reason or justification to address the VanEck SolidX ETF. The fact that it didn't do so is meaningless. So the standard timing for the VanEck SolidX ETF, the one we're all excited about, is that the notice was originally posted June 26th. The first extension expected August 10th. 45 days later, second extension expected September 24th, third extension expected December 23rd, just in time for Christmas. Add 60 days to December 23rd and you get a final deadline of February 21st, 2019. This could move forward or backward by a few days. For example, because December 23rd is a Sunday and the SEC may be closed on December 24th and 5th, but late February is most likely the target for an SEC decision. So here we are in July. and we're experiencing tremendous growth out of the Bitcoin charts. We're thinking that maybe this is fueled by a Bitcoin ETF or the hope of a Bitcoin ETF, but my fear is that we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, as this might be a long ways away, and Bitcoin ETFs are already live in different parts of the world. So to think that a Bitcoin ETF alone is going to be the reason that we skyrocket to 50K, well, it could certainly help, but I think we're just hoping a little too much that a Bitcoin ETF is going to play Superman and lift us back into market health. Regardless, I think this market rally is very strong, but I'm not fully convinced yet. In fact, it has me a little bit worried that people will start FOMOing in, thinking it's back, it's done, Bitcoin to the moon, and they're going to get a little bit sidetracked by the headlines, not focusing on what's behind those headlines and whether these different patterns are actually sustainable. Mind you, we haven't even broken 9K yet. We haven't even gotten past the 100-day moving average. I think that we've done some amazing things, but we have a lot of growth still ahead of us. We need to see if we break that 11.2, 11.8 resistance. We need to see what other fundamentals come into effect. I think there have been some strong fundamentals, which we'll talk about with Coinbase, allowing for you to spend your Bitcoin on gift cards that you can then redeem at your favorite retailers like Amazon, effectively allowing you to buy anything for Bitcoin, but we'll get to that in a second. I just think that this rally might be a little bit exciting, but it might also be a little bit premature. I'm not quite sure if this is sustainable. There's a lot of possible explanations for this, but to think that this is the beginning of a multi-year bull trend and that we're gonna for sure be sitting on the moon after this can certainly be classified in my book as getting ahead of yourself just a little bit. Also, just to follow up on this, you've probably seen a lot of posts on Reddit, if you've been on there lately, referring to Brad Sherman still about his comments back in the US Congress a few days ago. Obviously, tweet at him, make your voice known. But if you really want to get back at this human form of Dobby the house elf, this aging albino Ninja Turtle, this disgusting looking anti-crypto bank-powered shill, what you should really be doing is supporting his opponents. Don't just scream about it. Let's get involved and show with our capital power that we are a community that should be respected, that the people within the crypto community are law-abiding and politically active citizens. Let's not just scream and whine. Let's elect someone in his place that represents our interests. Apparently there's this guy, Mark Reed. I don't really know anything about him. I'm not going to endorse him, but I'd like to see more posts along this line of let's not just yell at Brad Sherman. Obviously this guy's been paid off. Let's instead support his opponents and get him unseated the good old-fashioned way, with money. Speaking of crypto candidates, we just got word that a presidential candidate, Andrew Yang, is running on a crypto platform, accepting crypto, and I don't really know anything about his platform either, but he's going to be in the race, and hopefully this is the beginning of a trend of candidates respecting and really catering to the crypto community, which is going to be one of the biggest emerging sectors and soon one of the most influential sectors in all of the economy. We also got a shout out from CZ of Binance saying that PundiX, after seeing their tech, he's extremely bullish on this tech and seeing it work in person. That's a strong endorsement from CZ. We also have word that Stellar Lumens is going to be listed on Huobi. I don't expect a ton of price action from this because, of course, Stellar is pretty much available everywhere, but regardless, it's just more penetration for a cryptocurrency that I know you guys all know that I love very much. In an unavoidable eventuality, but something that has certainly made news of recent, the Augur platform has hosted a wide variety of assassination bids. You can sort of bet on whether you think people will be assassinated. Obviously, this is some mind-bending Black Mirror shit. We can see here that this platform has turned dark in a relatively short amount of time. I don't know what the implications of this legally are, but I know that this is some crazy stuff, and I don't think it's really a good thing that we should have assassination markets or bidding markets. I'm all for free speech and stuff. I just think it creates a weird incentive to kill someone. I think this will cast a dark shadow over the Augur platform. Maybe it'll bring a bunch of attention and utility and people will start using Augur for that, but I just don't know. This is some crazy stuff. Let me know what you guys think about this whole crazy assassination market business down in the comments below. I'm always curious what you guys think. Finally, we have huge news out of Coinbase that they've been cleared of their sort of insider trading allegations. If you weren't paying attention, back when they listed Bitcoin Cash in the fall of last year or December of last year, the price ran up dramatically before they listed the coin, and it actually got stuck through some technical malfunction up at the top of its price curve. And there was a lot of suspicion that the employees and insiders were trading and running the price up beforehand just to dump it on the open market. Anyway, they got clear of these insider trading allegations, so that's behind them now. But even more importantly, we got word that Coinbase has entered into a partnership with WeGift, which will allow you to convert your Coinbase, your Bitcoin, into gift certificates for leading retailers such as Amazon, Uber, or Nike. That means that you can take your crypto and directly buy Amazon products, Nike products, Uber rides. Essentially, the utility of your Bitcoin has now been given an entirely new ocean to go play in. This is extremely good news. Obviously, utility is what creates the value in Bitcoin. People were saying that the utility of the dark market for the Silk Road was what really started Bitcoin, and that's kind of undeniable. But of course, when you allow Bitcoin to be used to buy things such as anything on Amazon, which is last time I checked, literally everything, I think it really takes the whole utility aspect of this coin to the next level, and it makes it more used, and it really brings back that usable as cash feeling. Of course, most people won't be doing this. They won't be buying gift certificates to then buy stuff, but it just shows that the whole move towards utility for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is a continual process, and news like this is nothing short of stupendous for the coin and the general cryptocurrency community. So that's it, guys. We might be headed to the moon, but I still think we might be a little bit ahead of ourselves. It's been a great rally. It continues to be a great rally. I still think we're going to be going a little bit higher than this. We might even go 1.5 times up from here to about 13K or so. I think there's a lot of strong cases for this rally. Regardless, I'm excited. It's a good day in cryptocurrency. I'm curious, what do you guys think about this rally? Do you think there's enough fundamentals behind it? What do you think is causing it? I've laid out my case here today, but I'm always curious what you guys think. If you enjoyed today's video and you're not already subscribed to this channel, I encourage you to subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you're made aware whenever we put out new content. I'm Elio Trades, you're watching FUD TV, and I'll see you very, very soon on the next episode.